All right, after sweeping Minnesota State in a first-round series over the weekend, the top-ranked women's hockey team heads the WCHA final face-off in Minneapolis. The defending champion Badgers face North Dakota in Saturday's semifinals, with the championship game set for Sunday. Coach Mark Johnson is here. He will have some opening comments and then take your questions.
Thanks. Certainly looking for an opportunity again this weekend to play again, and now you're in a position where if you win the game, you move on and get an opportunity on Sunday to play for a trophy. So past weekend, 6 good periods from the team. I liked the energy and the excitement that the players had in both games. Had some good practices last week, showed that they were ready to play, and we're excited to get involved in the playoffs. So looking forward to playing North Dakota Saturday afternoon. Last couple games against them have been fairly close, so it should be an interesting matchup, and look forward to the opportunity.
All right, questions? Todd.
Mark, your schedules allowed you to ramp up towards the playoffs and then now towards this weekend. What have you seen out of your team that has gone to a higher level as you've gone into playoffs?
Well, as I mentioned, I think, what I saw this past weekend was that excitement to understand that there was some real meaning behind the games in the weekend, and I think the kids were excited to get an opportunity to play in the playoffs. As I mentioned and indicated before, having the 4 games prior to the playoffs against a real good Minnesota Duluth team, and then going up to Minneapolis and playing up there. Those 4 games, sort of springboard you and get you to understand that if you're going to be successful in the postseason, you have to play at a higher level. So, like I say, what I saw this past weekend indicated those 4 games set the stage for us.
Do you have any update on how Sarah Nurse is? I know a lot of people are concerned about seeing her leave on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, from my vantage point, I didn't see the hit, and probably 2, 3, 4, 5 people indicated it was a stick up around the face mask. But after the game, I went and watched it on the replay. It certainly wasn't a stick. It was more of an elbow. So, when I left the rink after the game, she seemed to be in a pretty good place, and talked to my daughter yesterday who rooms with her, and she seemed to be studying for exams yesterday and be in a good place. So I haven't seen her today. I haven't talked to the training staff, but hopefully she's in a position this afternoon to practice.
Brian.
Your series against North Dakota are always physical. How do you prepare a team for a physical series this late in the year when you've gone through plenty of physical series already?
Well, I think having played them 4 times, you get an idea of how they play. The only difference being a playoff game, and they're playing for their lives right now, and trying to get to that championship game. And obviously, whoever wins the championship on Sunday gets an automatic bid in the NCAA tournament. And so you look at what's behind the game and the importance of the game, and that'll probably dictate. It'll be more of a trying not to make many mistakes, trying to stay out of the penalty box, because I indicated to my team after our first game this past weekend, that one penalty that you take might cost you the season. And so you have to be really disciplined in that area. So, Ohio State took them to the limit this past weekend, and so I'm sure they're going to take the next few days to get their energy level up. And, I think the 2 games here in Madison, both of them were tight checking and who was going to score on their opportunities, and sort of like playoff hockey, but in the regular season. So I see the games being a little bit different than they were here in Madison.
What you've done up to this point is put you in a position where, in a pairwise position where you can feel comfortable about playing after this weekend. But it sounds like you don't want your players thinking that way at all. You don't want them taking anything for granted or anything as a guarantee, correct?
Absolutely. If you're around the locker room and meetings and film sessions, really none of those type of things are talked about amongst the coaching staff to the players. This year I'm not on the committee, so I haven't even looked at the rankings the entire season. So I know we're in a good position. My job is to make sure that the team's ready to play Saturday afternoon, and that's what we'll start this afternoon in practice.
Anything else for Coach? Brian.
What have you seen in Emily Clark since she came back from Germany? Because she's really had a heck of a second semester, hasn't she?
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that because we went in the locker room after the first period, and I asked Denny, our trainer, I says, what'd she have for pregame? I mean, she was really had some energy and a great stride and quickness. Her first goal to start the second game was just a great individual effort, and it's one of those games where, she probably could have played 30 minutes, 35 minutes. She just had good legs and good energy. Was around the puck a lot and created a lot of opportunities. And as you mentioned, when she came back from Germany, I remember the first game she came back, I think I had mentioned to her, I asked her what she did over there because that first game back was just like, wow, she had gone up to a next level. I think part of the process is, for some of these kids, what's going on with the national team, when they get invited and when they get notified if they're going to play in the Worlds or into the next camp. And I think when kids get indicated that they're part of that next group that gets to play in those tournaments, naturally they're going to be excited. They're going to be fired up. But, she's a big part of what we do and certainly has had an outstanding second half. Again, Annie Pankowski, since we played those games up in Duluth, has been phenomenal, played very well and been very consistent in her play. So as a coach, when you look at the score sheet at the end of the night and you see your best players on the score sheet, chances are you're going to be successful.
I don't know if some of this stuff is official yet as far as Team Canada is concerned, but let's say for a player that's tried so hard to make a national team and doesn't make a national team, there's a lot still left to prove to those that left her off, correct?
Yeah, it's both sides of the equation, and both sides in regards to one player might get a phone call and they're going to be selected for the team, and the other player might get a phone call and it's not their turn. And so you can use it two ways. I mean, obviously they're going to be disappointed with not being selected, but as we talk to them, it's one of those things, well, you still have time to showcase yourself and put yourself in a position. The end goal being for a lot of these players that are in that predicament is to try to get centralized. And as they get closer to May and, both teams, Canada and the U.S., start selecting their players, you want to be in a position so when they see your name, they put you down on the list. And so whether you get chosen or not at this time, you still have an opportunity to showcase yourself. And so that's the information we try to pass along, but sometimes it's a tougher pill to swallow than other times.
AJ?
Your top line on Saturday seemed to be buzzing with Emily Clark, Annie Pankowski, and Sarah Nurse. How has that line performed since you put them all together?
They've been good in almost every game we've played them together. Both nights, as the game went on, I mixed up line combinations to get more people involved. But the message, for Saturday's game was, try to get a quick start, try to maybe create something in the first 5 or 6 minutes. And, Emily took care of that in the first 30 seconds with her speed and her ability to drive the puck into the scoring area and get it by the goaltender. So they're three high-level players. They've got good chemistry and certainly enjoyed the way they performed Saturday afternoon.